Are you ready? Grab your paper and your pen because here we go. Hello. Hey, everybody. It's Donella and
Carolyn.
Yay. Thank you for joining us. We have been long anticipating this video. Today, we're going to talk about listening and why it's so important for your business and for your life.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. All right, go ahead. What are we going to talk about? What's the PPR that we want everybody to start with?
Well, PPR, prepare, practice, and reflect.
That's right.
Prepare, practice, and reflect.
Prepare, practice, and
reflect. Which we'll go into more detail because we want to talk about why it's important to listen.
That's exactly right. Hi, Pam.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Okay, so we're going to talk about listening. We're going to practice. We're going to prepare, and then we're going to practice, and then we're going to reflect.
Right. But why would we need to listen?
I don't know what you're talking about. That's why we need to listen, right? Because we don't know what somebody's talking about. Hey, Leah. There's two of you on there. Hi, Leah. Okay, so with our listening, we need to be able to understand what people are saying. It's so important to listen in order to communicate and in order to go after your prospects, your customers, your family.
Your family.
Everyone.
Understanding your significant other, your children. So parenting is a big thing.
It's a huge thing. Okay, so if you don't listen to what people are saying, you're not going to know how to make that connection. So the very first thing we need to do is connect with ourselves. So you need to be able to connect with yourself by liking yourself, loving yourself, being the very best that you can be, and liking all of that about you. In order to connect with other people, if you've crossed that hurdle, then you can start connecting and liking and loving other people, and they can love you right back. So it's a very, very important step in the listening process, right?
It is. And talking about ourselves, listening to ourselves as well. So listen to what I'm thinking. I listen to the way I respond to people. I listen to when people respond to me, how I'm taking it. And that's how we practice learning to like ourselves.
That's right.
By listening.
The other part of listening is for those of you in leadership, or if you are trying to obtain a leadership position in anything that you do, whether it be a direct sales business, a brick and mortar business, anywhere in your career or in your life, in order to be a great leader, you have to be able to connect with the people that are following you. And in order to do that, you need to listen. And we need to stop talking and we need to start asking questions. A great question to start off with is why. Asking people why. Why do you love what you do? Why do you stay at home? Why do you go to work? Whatever you can, extract information from these people, because the more information that you extract from them, the more you have to work with, the more you have to connect with those people.
Absolutely. So with the why, as we're asking the question why, because I like the why question a lot, I'm seeking to understand where you're coming from. I'm going to learn where you're coming from, what you need. And that's the same, business, relationships, all across the board.
Anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think when Donella and I met each other, we asked why a lot. Why that? Why that?
3 hours of solid whys. By the time we were finished, we were both exhausted, but we were connected. And we've enjoyed our company together since. Yeah. And big things are happening with the pair of us because we took the time to connect. So we need to figure out what it is about you that is going to help people connect to you. You need to start asking the why questions, but you need to be really, really curious. And the key to being curious is hang around with people that are equally curious as you. Don't be the person in the room that always leads. Don't be the person in the room that's always talking. Be curious and ask questions. And if you're in a group of curious people, they're going to ask questions and they're going to say things that maybe you didn't think of. And you're just absorbing like a sponge all of that information. And that is information that you can use later for your connection with others.
This applying like the 80-20 rule. Listen 80% of the time, talk 20% of the time.
You know, this sounds really, really good, but that is really, really hard. Like myself, I don't stop talking. I yak, 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 yak everywhere I go. You don't stop listening. Right. So we're well balanced because I know when I've said enough, when this one actually pipes up and says something.
And I'll learn how to pipe that more.
And then she grills me on what she said, and I probably wasn't listening. So it's something that we have to work at, right? It's
Absolutely.
a diligent chore.
Yes, you have to be very deliberate in listening, which leads to, I guess, the prepare.
Yeah. So
The
prepare.
prepare. How do I do this? How do I listen? First, it's important just to still everything in your mind, your emotions, because every day we have triggers or, bad days, good days. Then when we go to listen to somebody, we hear them through what I like to call filters, our filters, and we don't really hear them. We hear the way that we're understanding it ourselves. So a good way to make sure that you have understood correctly is also to clarify. Ask, is this what you're saying? So if I hear you correctly or understand you correctly, you've just said, and repeat back to them. Is that
right?
Correct?
Which is the same trick for learning people's names.
Absolutely.
Right? You say it 2 or 3 times before you even stop basically shaking the hand, because that's a way for you, that repetitive action is a way for you to be, to memorize their name. But back to
prepare.
The preparing of this. If you are constantly thinking about how you're going to attend something, what you're going to say, things that you can bring up, things that you can share, your mind is so busy thinking about all of your things that you're not allowing room or the attention span to absorb the information from others. Clear all of that out of your mind when you go somewhere or when you're with somebody. Just clear it all out, because what will happen then is you'll be open and receptive to the information that they're giving. It allows you to be more curious. It allows you to ask those wise questions, and it gives you all of that information that you need to form that connection with people.
Right.
So we've done the preparation. What's the practice?
Practice. Practice your body language. Mind and body. Well, we've talked about the mind part, but also your body. When you're listening to somebody, there are key ways to make people feel like they're listening to and you're actually doing it is eye contact, not yawning, or this.
Oh, that's my favorite.
You're trying to explain something to somebody and they're,
So we talked about this yesterday. Do you ever get to the point where you're actually talking to somebody and they are obviously not listening to you, so you just stop talking in mid-sentence and you either walk away or you just say, oh, never mind, and you just totally change what you were doing because you know they're not listening? It's an awful feeling.
It does, because it conveys that person and what they're saying is not important. They're not valued.
That's right.
I've sent the message, if I'm not listening to someone, that they're not valued.
That's right.
And how do you connect with someone who doesn't value you?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. And then with the connection and the not listening and the not being able to learn about people, you're not soaking up information. You have decisions to make, and the decisions that you make are based on the interactions that you have with others. So if Carolynn and I are having a conversation and I'm really not paying attention to what she's saying, and then all of a sudden she asks me a question and I catch the question, I'm actually answering her on a misinformed basis. I haven't taken the time to listen to the information that she's giving me, and now I'm responsible for making a decision. The decision I make may or may not be an impactful one, but it may be something that I need to make a really good decision of, because whatever I say, she's going to run with. And then at the end of the day, I'm going to think, well, I have no idea what that was about. So you have to be careful, because if you're not listening, decisions that you make through your life and create the path of your life are going to be it's going to be misguided, because you haven't taken the opportunity to listen to people and learn from them, and you're making all these misinformed decisions.
Right, and when it comes to outside of business, you'll start living a life with those people close to you out of a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So with your children, our children, if I don't take the time to listen to my children and really understand where they're coming from, because really when you listen, you should be listening to understand, not listen to speak, not listen to correct, but truly just listen to understand. Once you start understanding, our kids, our significant others, we can address needs that keep us connected versus driving us apart, because relationships, whether it's business, parents, significant, are driven apart by misunderstandings.
That's right. And assumptions.
Yes.
totally assumptions because you haven't listened to the information and now you're assuming it, or you've neglected to go to the source and get the information and now you're making the assumptions. But for a second, I want to touch on the business aspect of this, guys, because I know I see a lot of you on here. Thank you, Selena, Debbie,
Hi.
Susan, Dan, Jimmy, Leah, everybody on here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Your eyesight is so much better. Yes, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Susan.
I don't read as well.
So as far as business goes, guys, and I know that you know this, but we're going to say it again because it's so important. If you have a business where you need customers to survive, or you have a business where you need teammates maybe, or other kinds of customers, in order to be successful in gaining those, you have to have the power of connection by listening. So many times what we see is you go to meet a prospect and you've already got it in your mind what their issues may be, what they may be concerned about, and you start going in there, sort of a plan of attack and answering all of these things that prospect hasn't actually mentioned to you. That prospect is going to leave that meeting perhaps with unanswered questions. You're exhausted because you've spent all this time, talking about what you believe to be the problem. And you haven't connected that bond. You haven't got that customer and you haven't got that prospect. So the biggest way to go in there is go in there with a clear mind, sit down in front of your prospect or sit down in front of your customer and ask them what it is they're looking for and how you can benefit them and what their curiosities are. What are they curious about your business or your product or your service that you provide? And once you've got that information from really, really listening to that person, then you can mold your conversation around that, and you're actually going to hit and touch on the things that they wanted to know. Your connection with them is going to build you a better team, and it's going to build you a better business. So it's very, very important to do that.
Extremely important. I mean, I know as a customer of any service, if I don't feel listened to, I will walk away.
You were just saying that about your car.
Yes, I was saying because I've thought this through. I don't want to haggle about some things. I want to say what I need and want. Now, I don't mind if they give me options, interject some things I may not know. But if anyone tries to take me away from what I have asked for, I will walk away.
Yeah.
And I remember once going to a hairdresser, and I said, I want highlights. I want blonde highlights. And I described them, even had a picture. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I can read your mind, quote unquote. That's what he said. By the time I came out, he put ash blonde in my hair, which made me look gray. It aged me 10 years.
Oh.
So he really hadn't listened to my need and what I wanted. Did I ever go back to that person? No, I never went back.
Yeah, all because of the power of listening and the power of connection. Okay, so we've done the preparing, we've done the practice. Now we need to do the reflection. So go ahead and hit on the reflection.
Reflection. Every day, reflect on your interactions with people. Reflect, did I listen? What did I hear? Did I understand what the person was saying? Think it through. You can tell sometimes whether you've understood it or not based on, as I'm watching facial expressions, when I'm interacting with somebody, sometimes I think I've understood something and then later on I remember, well, when I said this, they shifted or...
I think you're touching on a great point. About listening, you have to be able to hear. And I know I have a really hard time hearing people. And sometimes if you're talking to me and I'm smiling an awful lot, it's probably because I cannot hear a word you're saying.
Duly noted. I'm writing that down.
I write that down. Make a note. I seriously have a hard time hearing, especially if I'm in a room full of people. And so it may look like I've glazed over, but I'm really concentrating on what you're saying. I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about, even though we've been speaking for 10 minutes, because I've no idea what you're saying. And I'm working really, really hard to try to make sense of what you're saying to me. So when you're in a conversation with somebody, don't always assume that they're not listening. Maybe just sort of pause and say, something like, are you able to hear me okay? Because I know it's loud in here. And then if they say, well, actually, no, I can't, then they're actually trying to listen to you, but they can't for a reason, and you can fix that. And if they say, oh, yeah, I can hear you just fine, well, then maybe you should just go and buy an apple or something because they're just not listening to what you're saying.
Well, that happens a lot, though. You go in situations and you can't hear the other person and you don't know whether they can hear you or not, but they're nodding
and smiling.
And then based on their response, you go, oh, you didn't even hear what I said.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't get any of it. But I'm sure it was good.
Absolutely. Well, if it came from you, it was excellent.
That was so good. Thanks for sharing. I have no idea what you just said. So you can see the importance of listening. You can see the importance of preparing, going in the room with a mindset of extracting information from people instead of sharing, because then you're not listening, you're talking. So we need to prepare our minds to go into a room and do that.
Make a note on that. With the listening to extract, that's really good in business, not as good in relationships. When you listen in a relationship, you're not there just to extract from them. If somebody feels like you just want to get something out of me, you can have a conversation where somebody's just wanting to get something out. They can withdraw if they sense that. Not everybody. Some people actually need you to extract and want it because they don't know how to process it themselves, but others will shut down. Right. So to be sensitive in that, where I'm just really listening.
I think you have to be.
I think here's a classic one. We might just be saying the same thing, but understood it differently.
Right.
With the extraction. Because now that I'm thinking about it, extraction, if I'm listening to someone, I'm really trying to, using that term, I could be extracting facts that help me understand why this situation is the way it is. So,
And I think that, I think even with family, we extract information because, like my husband, he goes to work all day, he's tired when he gets home, he sits down, I get his dinner. I wait on him hand and foot because I'm a good wife.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I know. I give him a beer and I rub his belly. Not. Anyway, so
and I bring mine his slippers. Yes.
And his pipe. We listen well to our husbands. They've trained us really well.
That was good. Because we did the training.
Okay. Honey, I'm hungry.
Back on point.
Okay, so remember to listen to yourself. I have no idea what I was saying. Oh, so extracting from
Speaking
your spouse.
To yourself.
Yeah. So extracting from your spouse. I mean, think about it. He comes home from work. He's really, really tired. He's exhausted. He's been talking all day to clients and to employees, whatever. So he's just sitting down in the chair. Well, I would like to know how his day went. So I'm going to ask him, so how was your day? Fine. Well, that's not an answer because now we've just spent 10 seconds together and we're both bored to tears. So sometimes you have to extract information from people that you love by saying, well, honey, did you manage to have lunch today? Or, how were the houses you inspected? Or just, you may have to ask questions, not necessarily yes or no questions because you're going to get fine yes, no. But you do have to extract that information. And although it may seem a tedious task, you're with this man or this woman for years, right? And if you don't make an effort to extract this information, listen and take that information, turn it back into the conversation so you have things to talk about, that's how people grow apart. And that's how you don't get to know each other. And I hear it all the time. People say, we used to be best friends, but we don't really have anything in common. You don't have anything in common because you haven't tried to have things in common. Take some time away. I'm totally going off track here, but take some time, even if it's just a meal together
my lane.
by yourself, and make sure you listen. So whether it's in business or it's personal, you have to apply the tools. You have to prepare yourself, for the grumpiness, if it's your spouse or your children or whatever.
Or your own grumpiness.
Or your own. I'm not grumpy, ever.
And she's never in denial.
Never in denial.
That's a good topic.
I always practice, I always prepare, and I always reflect.
Yes, reflection. We can learn so much through reflection. And listening, I was thinking about this when driving down here, actually. People make comments about us, not Donella and I necessarily together, but just in life. You, me, you separately. Yep. And they make jokes about how they may perceive us or think one way. I listen to that because that's feedback.
It is feedback, yeah.
It's like I've learned that I apparently have a very intense look that can be very intimidating.
RBF.
What's that?
It's resting something face.
Oh, no, I don't have that. I don't have that. No one has said that.
Look at my resting face.
No, you don't walk around looking like that.
I actually do. I work hard at making it not there.
Okay. And I have a look that looks like I am just intense and going. So people might think I'm mad.
Together, they're terrified.
Right. that I'm angry or having a bad day. And because I reflect a lot and I process a lot internally, I'm more of an introvert that way. My face must look some way. So I work really hard at not looking that way.
Because that's another thing about listening. You don't want people to think that you're unapproachable, because then they're not going to talk to you. You've got nothing to listen to. So it's getting long. We've been on here for 20 minutes. We need to start wrapping up. So remember, listening is a skill. If you find that you're distracted, you have a hard time listening to people. If you're in a room, you spent 2 hours with somebody and you've walked away thinking that you don't really know them, maybe it's because you haven't taken the time to listen. Get that information, extract that information from them, be it in business or in your personal life. When you're walking away from people, in order for you to be a better leader and in order for you to be a stronger individual, you can take all of that information and apply it to yourself, apply it to your own life, and apply it to your journey, because you don't know everything. I don't know everything. You don't know everything. So the information that you're extracting for people is going to actually help you grow. So think of listening as a skill and think of it as a tool, and put together your PPR, your prepare, practice, and reflection. Do that every time you go somewhere and speak to somebody, and you'll realize it's going to become really, really easy, and you're going to be amazed at the change you see in yourself because you've given to others.
And how other people will perceive you.
Yes, yeah. As approachable with a happy face, and they know you're listening, so they're going to invest their time in you because you've invested your time into them.
Yes.
All right, I think that does it for our first live show. Please put down below in the comments what you loved about it, what you hated about it, and what you just didn't care either way, because you're going to help us grow, and that's our way of listening to you. So please, please, please do that for us. And as usual, we will be here every Thursday at 1 p.m. live. If you see our posts about it, if you wouldn't mind sharing it so we can hopefully impact other people as well. And this is Carolyn Williams. She's on Facebook. I'm Donella Fields. You're obviously on my page, and if you're not on my page, get on it. And that's it. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, there's Lee. Hi, Lee. Hi, Deanna. Hi, Vicky. Hi, Charles. Hi, Carissa. Hi, Sean. Hi, Candace.
You have to get this close.
Bye. Oh. Follow Carolyn and Donella on Facebook, and for your free weekly email sent to your inbox filled with business tools, tricks, inspiration, and so much more, go to www.donellafields.com. Remember, we're live every Thursday at 1. See you then.